The crisp morning air of Boulder, Colorado, carried the faint scent of pine and freshly cut grass as Marcus trudged toward the community center. His blue janitor's uniform hung loosely on his broad shoulders, the fabric worn thin from years of scrubbing floors and hauling trash. At 34, he carried the weight of a single father, his dark eyes shadowed by sleepless nights, spent worrying about his 8-year-old son, Ethan, back at their modest apartment. The town was quiet this early, the sun just beginning to peek over the Flatirons, casting a golden glow across the sprawling green lawns. Marcus liked the stillness it gave him, a moment to breathe before the day's chaos began. As he unlocked the community center's side door, the familiar creak of hinges greeted him. Inside, the air was cool and stale, the faint hum of the air conditioner, the only sound. He grabbed his mop and bucket, ready to tackle the lobby, when a soft whimper stopped him cold. Frowning, he set the mop aside and followed the noise. It led him to the glass doors facing the park, where a small figure sat huddled on the steps. A little girl no older than 6 clutched a tattered teddy bear, her tear-streaked face buried in its fur. Her overalls were smudged with dirt, and her blonde hair tangled in the morning breeze. Marcus's heart sank. He knew that look of lost confusion all too well. "Hey there," he said gently, crouching down to her level. "You okay, kiddo?" His voice was soft, the kind he used with Ethan when nightmares struck. The girl looked up, her wide hazel eyes brimming with tears. She didn't speak, just shook her head, her small hands tightening around the bear. Marcus scanned the park beyond the glass, no sign of an adult searching for her. The streets were empty, save for the occasional jogger in the distance. He pushed the door open and stepped outside the cool concrete rough under his boots. "I'm Marcus," he said, offering a warm smile. "What's your name?" The girl hesitated, then whispered, "Lily." Her voice was faint, almost lost in the wind. Marcus nodded, his mind racing. She didn't look hurt, but the way she clung to that bear told him she was scared. "All right, Lily. Let's get you inside where it's warm. We'll figure this out together. Okay?" She nodded slowly, letting him guide her into the lobby. He sat her on a bench, grabbing a granola bar from his lunch bag. "Here, this might help. You hungry?" Lily took the bar with shaky hands, nibbling at it, as Marcus pulled out his phone to call the police. Before he could dial, a shadow moved outside the glass. A woman stood at the edge of the park, her floral dress fluttering in the breeze. Her hands were pressed to her chest, her face a mix of shock and relief. Marcus squinted, but the morning glare obscured her features. He waved, thinking she might be Lily's mother, but she didn't approach. Instead, she stepped back into the trees, vanishing as quietly as she'd appeared. Weird, he thought, shaking it off. He reported Lily as a lost child, giving the dispatcher her description. "She's got Down syndrome, I think," he added, noticing the subtle features he recognized from a co-worker's daughter. The dispatcher promised a quick response, and Marcus turned his attention back to Lily. She was watching him now, her tears drying as she munched on the granola bar. "You like stories?" he asked, improvising. She nodded eagerly, and he launched into a tale about a brave bear who got lost but found a new friend in the forest. Her eyes lit up, and for a moment, the tension in her small frame eased. Minutes later, a police car pulled up, and an officer stepped inside. "Thanks for calling it in," the officer said, tipping his hat. "We'll take her to the station, see if we can find her family." Marcus helped Lily gather her bear, her tiny hand slipping into his as they walked to the car. She looked back at him, a silent thank you in her gaze, and he felt a pang of something, pride maybe, or connection. The officer buckled her in, and the car drove off, leaving Marcus standing in the doorway, the morning sun warming his back. Back inside, he resumed his work, but his mind lingered on Lily. Something about her reminded him of Ethan, how fragile yet resilient kids could be. He mopped the lobby floor, the rhythmic swish of the mop. A comfort when his phone buzzed. A text from the school. Ethan had a rough morning acting out in class again. Marcus sighed, rubbing his temples. Single parenting was a battlefield, and he was losing ground. He'd have to pick Ethan up early, another shift, sacrificed. The janitor gig barely paid the bills, but it was steady, and steady was all he had. As he worked, the woman in the floral dress reappeared outside, this time closer. She stood near a bench, her phone pressed to her ear, her eyes fixed on the community center. Marcus didn't notice her this time, too lost in his thoughts. She was Elena Hart, a tech billionaire who'd retreated to Boulder to escape the spotlight. Lily was her daughter, a secret she guarded fiercely after her husband's death left her alone with the girl. Elena had been frantic when Lily wandered off during their morning walk, her security detail too far to intervene. Seeing Marcus with Lily had stopped her cold, his kindness a stark contrast to the isolation she'd built around herself. Elena ended the call, her heart pounding. She'd traced Lily to the police station, but something kept her rooted here. Marcus's gentle care had stirred something in her, a memory of simpler times before wealth and grief consumed her. She watched him, through the glass, unaware of her scrutiny, as he moved to the next room. Her mind raced with possibilities. Could this man be trusted? Should she thank him or keep her distance? For now, she decided to wait, blending into the park's shadows as the day grew brighter. Marcus finished the lobby and moved to the gym, the squeak of his shoes echoing off the polished wood. He thought about Lily again, wondering if she was safe. The police would find her family, he told himself, but a nagging doubt lingered. He checked his watch, 9:30 a.m. Time to clock out and deal with Ethan. As he gathered his things, a faint giggle echoed from the hallway. He turned, expecting an empty space. But there was nothing. Just the wind, he figured, shaking his head. Yet the sound lingered in his mind, a soft echo of Lily's presence. Outside, Elena lingered, her decision made. She'd return tomorrow, find a way to learn more about this janitor. For now, she needed to see Lily, to hold her close and apologize for the scare. She slipped into her car, a sleek black SUV hidden behind the trees, and drove toward the station. Marcus, meanwhile, locked up the center, the weight of the day settling on his shoulders. He didn't know it yet, but his life was about to change, tangled with a billionaire's secret and a little girl's trust. The drive home was quiet, the radio off as Marcus replayed the morning. Ethan would need a talk, maybe a trip to the park, to burn off energy. He pulled into the apartment complex, a squat building with peeling paint, and spotted Ethan waiting by the door. The boy's scowl softened when he saw his dad, and Marcus felt a flicker of hope. They'd get through this one day at a time. But as he hugged his son, a figure watched from across the street. Elena, her car parked discreetly, her mind made up to re-enter their lives. The afternoon sun dipped lower, casting long shadows over Boulder. Marcus and Ethan walked to the park, the same one where Lily had been found. Ethan kicked a soccer ball, his laughter cutting through the tension. Marcus sat on a bench, his eyes scanning the horizon. He didn't see Elena now, hidden behind a tree, her phone capturing a photo of the father and son. She zoomed in, studying Marcus's tired but kind face. This man, she thought, might be the key to healing the rift in her own family. As evening approached, Marcus took Ethan home, promising pizza for dinner, a rare treat. Inside the apartment was cluttered but warm, a haven from the world. Ethan chattered about school, and Marcus listened, his mind half on Lily. He didn't know Elena was planning her next move, a subtle entry into his life that would test his limits. The night deepened, stars blinking over Colorado, and the threads of their stories began to weave together, unseen but inevitable. Marcus tucked Ethan into bed, the boy's breathing steadying as a lullaby hummed softly. He sat by the window staring at the city lights, unaware of the billionaire's gaze from afar. Elena, back at her sprawling estate, held Lily close, the girl asleep with her bear. Tomorrow she'd return to the community center, ready to thank Marcus, and perhaps ask for more. The stage was set, the players unaware, and the quiet town of Boulder held its breath for the drama to unfold. But the day wasn't over for Marcus yet. As he sat by the window, a knock startled him. He opened the door to find a small package, no note, just a neatly wrapped box. Inside was a children's book about a lost bear identical to the story he'd told Lily. His pulse quickened. Who could have sent this? He glanced outside, but the street was empty. A chill ran down his spine as he realized someone had been watching someone who knew about his morning with Lily. He set the book on the table, his mind spinning with questions. The next morning, Marcus woke early, the book still on his mind. He made Ethan breakfast cereal and toast, while the boy grumbled about school. "Dad, can we go to the park again?" Ethan asked, his eyes hopeful. Marcus nodded, thinking it might clear his head. They arrived at the park just as the sun rose, the air crisp and clean. Ethan ran ahead, chasing a butterfly, while Marcus sat on the same bench where he'd first seen Lily. He pulled out the book, flipping through its pages. The illustrations were vivid, the story simple yet touching, a bear finding a home with a kind stranger. As he read, a shadow fell over the page. He looked up to see a woman standing nearby, Elena, though he didn't know her name yet. She wore a different dress, plain and unassuming, her hair cooled back. "That's a nice story," she said, her voice soft but steady. Marcus nodded, unsure. "Yeah, I told it to a girl yesterday. She got lost here." Elena's eyes flickered with recognition, but she masked it with a smile. "Kids have a way of finding the right people," she said, sitting a safe distance away. They talked briefly about the weather, the park, nothing deep. Marcus felt an odd comfort in her presence, though he couldn't place why. Elena, meanwhile, studied him, noting the calluses on his hands, the weariness in his smile. She wanted to tell him about Lily, about her gratitude, but held back. Instead, she asked, "Do you come here often?" Marcus chuckled. "With my son? Yeah. Keeps him out of trouble." She nodded, filing that away. The conversation ended as Ethan called for his dad and Elena slipped away, her mind racing with plans. Back at the community center, Marcus resumed his shift, the mystery of the book gnawing at him. He cleaned the gym, the auditorium, the hallways, each task a rhythm to distract his thoughts. But every creak of the building, every shadow, made him wonder. Was it Elena? The woman from the park? He shook his head, focusing on the mop. Yet the book sat in his locker, a silent reminder of the day's strangeness. As noon approached, Marcus took a break, sitting outside with a sandwich. The park was busier now, families picnicking, dogs barking. He watched a group of kids playing, their laughter, a sharp contrast to his quiet life. He thought of Lily again, hoping she was with her family. Little did he know Elena was nearby, coordinating with her team to ensure Lily's safety while plotting her next move. The billionaire's world was colliding with his, and the quiet janitor was about to step into a story far bigger than he'd ever imagined. The days blurred into a routine for Marcus, the quiet rhythm of Boulder life, punctuated by the occasional mystery of the book and the woman from the park. He hadn't seen her again, but the encounter lingered like a half-remembered dream. Ethan was back at school, his outbursts simmering down after a heart-to-heart over pizza, and Marcus threw himself into work at the community center. The floors gleamed under his care. the windows spotless, a testament to his unspoken pride in the mundane. Yet, as he polished the handrails one afternoon, a familiar giggle echoed through the hallway, soft, innocent, unmistakable. He turned mop in hand to see Lily standing at the entrance, her teddy bear dangling from one arm. She wore a clean set of overalls this time, her hair neatly braided, but her hazel eyes held the same spark of curiosity. "Lily," Marcus said, surprise coloring his voice. "What are you doing here, kiddo?" She beamed, toddling toward him with arms outstretched. No tears this time, just unbridled joy. Marcus glanced around. No police. No frantic parent. How had she gotten here? The center was a few blocks from the park, and she was too young to wander alone. Setting the mop aside, he knelt down. "Did you come with someone?" She nodded vaguely, pointing outside. Marcus peered through the glass doors, spotting a black SUV idling at the curb, windows tinted. The driver, a burly man in a suit, gave a subtle nod before pulling away. Odd, but perhaps her family trusted the area. "Well, all right then. Want to help me clean? I could use an assistant." Lily clapped her hands, and Marcus handed her a soft cloth, guiding her to wipe the lower parts of the windows. She mimicked his movements with exaggerated enthusiasm, her laughter filling the empty space. As they worked, Marcus learned bits about her through gestures and simple words. She loved animals, especially bears, and drew pictures in the air with her fingers. He shared stories about Ethan, how his son dreamed of being an astronaut. Lily listened intently, her head tilted, absorbing every word. By the time the SUV returned an hour later, honking softly, a bond had formed. She hugged Marcus goodbye, her small arms tight around his neck, and he watched her go, a warmth spreading in his chest. It was the highlight of his day, a reminder that kindness could bridge the gaps in his lonely world. Elena observed from her estate's security room screens, flickering with footage from discreet cameras she'd had installed near the center. Hiring a private investigator had been easy money, open doors, and the reports painted a vivid picture of Marcus's life. A single father since his wife's passing 3 years ago in a car accident, scraping by on janitorial wages. Ethan attended a local school with behavioral issues stemming from grief. Marcus volunteered at a soup kitchen on weekends, helped neighbors with odd jobs, never complaining. Elena sipped her coffee, the bitter taste mirroring her thoughts. Why did this man intrigue her so? Her own life was a fortress of wealth, tech empires built on algorithms and isolation. Lily's father had been her anchor, gone too soon to cancer, leaving her to raise their daughter alone in a world that saw her as a symbol, not a person. The next day, Lily returned, this time with a drawing clutched in her hand, a crude sketch of a man and a girl holding hands, a bear between them. "For you," she said, thrusting it at Marcus. He pinned it to the bulletin board in the lobby, declaring it the center's new artwork. They played games, hide and seek, in the empty rooms, tag in the gym, her energy infectious. Marcus taught her simple words, praising her efforts, and she blossomed under his patience. Ethan joined one afternoon after school, the two kids bonding over puzzles. "She's cool, Dad," Ethan said later, a rare smile on his face. Marcus nodded, feeling a shift, like his family was expanding in unexpected ways. Elena delved deeper, her investigator, uncovering Marcus's financial strains, mounting bills, a leaky roof in their apartment. She felt a pang of guilt for spying, but curiosity won. Disguised in casual clothes, she visited the soup kitchen where Marcus volunteered, watching him serve meals with genuine smiles. He didn't notice her in the crowd, too focused on the faces before him. That night at her estate, overlooking the mountains, Elena held Lily as she chattered about Mr. Mark. The girl's happiness was undeniable, a light Elena hadn't seen since before her husband's death. Perhaps this janitor held a key to unlocking more for them both. The returns became routine, Lily appearing mid-afternoon, staying for hours under Marcus's watchful eye. He wondered about her family, why they let her roam, but the SUV's punctual arrivals reassured him. One evening, as storm clouds gathered over the Flatirons, Lily arrived just as thunder rumbled. "Big boom," she said, pointing at the sky, her face scrunched in worry. Marcus chuckled. "Yeah, sounds like a storm's coming. Better stay inside till it passes." He called the number scribbled on a note in her pocket, her mother's apparently, but no answer. The rain started sheets, pounding the roof, wind howling like a beast. The power flickered, then died, plunging the center into dim twilight. Marcus lit emergency lanterns, their glow casting long shadows. Lily clung to her, bare eyes wide. "Scared?" he asked, sitting beside her on the gym mats. She nodded. He wrapped an arm around her, pulling out the book, The Mysterious Gift. "Let's read this." The bear wasn't scared of storms. He danced in the rain. As he read, his voice steady, Lily relaxed, leaning into him. They shared snacks from his bag, talking in hushed tones. Marcus opened up about his wife, the accident that stole her away, how he pushed through for Ethan. "Life throws storms at us, but we keep going, right?" Lily touched his hand, her empathy profound, despite her young age. Outside, Elena paced in her SUV parked nearby. The storm had hit harder than expected, roads flooding, her driver advising against travel. She'd planned to pick Lily up herself today to finally meet Marcus, but nature intervened. Through the rain-blurred windows, she watched the center's faint lights, imagining the scene inside. Her investigators' reports had humanized Marcus further, his dreams of going back to school for a better job stalled by responsibilities. Elena felt a pull, a desire to help, but fear held her back. What if he rejected her world of wealth? What if he saw her as the intruder she was? Inside, the conversation deepened. Lily shared fragments of her life. A big house, a mommy who worked a lot, no daddy. Marcus's heart ached. They were mirrors of each other, single parents navigating loss. "Your mommy loves you a ton, I bet," he said. Lily nodded, then yawned, curling up with her bear. Marcus sang a lullaby, the same one for Ethan, until she slept. He sat vigil, the storm raging on, reflecting on his own isolation. Friends had faded after his wife's death, work consumed him. Lily's visits had cracked that shell, reminding him of connection's power. Elena braved the rain, slipping to a side window, peering in. The sight Marcus watching over her daughter, tenderness in his eyes, melted her resolve. She retreated to the car, soaked but stirred. The investigators' final report arrived via email. Marcus had once aspired to teach, but life derailed him. Elena pondered. Her tech fortune could change that, but subtly. As the storm eased, stars peeking through clouds, she drove home alone, Lily safe inside. Tomorrow she'd make contact, but tonight the hidden observer wrestled with her growing admiration. Marcus carried the sleeping Lily to the entrance as the SUV pulled up hours later. A woman, Elena, stepped out, umbrella in hand, her face hidden in shadows. "Thank you," she whispered, taking Lily gently. Marcus nodded, words failing him. She drove off, leaving him in the damp night, unaware of the depths she'd plumbed into his life. Mientras. The connection was forging invisible threads, tightening as Boulder's quiet nights hid secrets waiting to unfold. But the storm's aftermath brought changes. The next morning, Marcus found the center flooded in spots, water seeping under doors. He worked tirelessly to clean up Ethan, helping after school. Lily didn't come that day, and he missed her chatter. Instead, a delivery arrived, a box of supplies, new mops, cleaners, even toys for the kids' room. No note, but he suspected the mysterious woman. Elena, from her office, monitored via cameras her investigation complete. She knew his struggles intimately now, medical bills from Ethan's therapy, the apartment's rising rent. Her heart, long guarded, began to open. Lily returned 2 days later, bubbling with excitement. "Mommy said hi," she exclaimed, hugging Marcus. He laughed, puzzled but pleased. They spent the afternoon drawing Lily's pictures, improving under his guidance. Ethan joined the three, forming a makeshift family. Marcus taught them about resilience, using the storm as a metaphor. "We bend, but don't break," he said, high-fiving them. Elena watched remotely, tears in her eyes. Her isolation cracked. Perhaps it was time to reveal herself, to offer the connection they all craved. As weeks passed, Lily's visits deepened the bond. Marcus shared parenting tips he'd learned the hard way, Lily absorbing with wide-eyed wonder. One day, she brought a photo her and Elena at a zoo. "Mommy," she pointed. Marcus studied it, recognizing the woman from the park. "She's pretty," he said casually. Lily giggled. Elena, viewing the feed, blushed. Her investigation had evolved into genuine care. She funded anonymous donations to the center, easing Marcus's load without him knowing. A second storm brewed, metaphorical this time. Ethan's school called another incident suspension threatened. Marcus confided in Lily during her visit, his voice heavy. "Sometimes I feel like I'm failing him." Lily patted his arm, her simple comfort profound. Trapped by emotion rather than weather, Marcus poured out his fears. Lily listened, her Down syndrome, no barrier to empathy. Elena, hidden in her world, felt the pull stronger. She needed to act to bridge the gap before it widened. The morning sun filtered through the tall pines of Boulder, casting dappled light across the community center as Marcus unlocked the doors. It was a crisp Wednesday, August 20th, 2025, the air carrying a hint of autumn as the clock ticked past 9:45 a.m. His hands moved with practiced ease, the routine a comfort after weeks of unexpected turns. Lily's visits had become a steady joy, her laughter echoing through the halls, but today felt different. A quiet anticipation hung in the air. Ethan was at school, his behavior improving with the extra time they'd spent together, and Marcus hoped the calm would hold. Little did he know, the threads of his life were about to pull tight, weaving a conclusion he couldn't yet imagine. As he swept the lobby, the familiar sound of tiny footsteps approached. Lily appeared, her teddy bear swinging, a bright smile lighting her face. "Mr. Mark," she called, rushing to hug him. Behind her, a woman stepped inside Elena, though Marcus didn't know her name yet. She wore a simple jacket, her hair loose, a stark contrast to the floral dresses he'd glimpsed before. "I'm Elena," she said, her voice steady but soft. "Lily's mom. I owe you more thanks than I can say." Marcus straightened, wiping his hands on his uniform, a mix of surprise and curiosity in his eyes. "No need for thanks, just glad she's safe." Elena smiled, a rare warmth breaking through her guarded demeanor. She explained how Lily had wandered off that first day, how she'd watched Marcus from afar, moved by his kindness. "I've been observing," she admitted, her gaze dropping. "Not in a creepy way, I hope. I wanted to understand the man who cared for my daughter." Marcus chuckled, easing the tension. "Guess I passed the test?" Elena nodded, her eyes meeting his, with flying colors. She hesitated, then added, "I'd like to offer you a job at my company, something better than this, and help with Ethan's school." The offer hung between them, heavy with possibility. Marcus's mind raced, better pay, stability, a chance for Ethan to thrive. But pride prickled. "I'm not big on handouts," he said cautiously. Elena raised a hand. "It's not charity. You've got skills, patience, teaching instincts. I run a tech firm, and we're starting an educational program for kids with special needs." I'd need someone like you to help design it. Work with the kids." Lily tugged at her mother's sleeve, nodding eagerly. Marcus saw the sincerity in Elena's eyes, the same trust Lily had shown him. "Let me think on it," he said finally, and she agreed, leaving her card. Over the next week, Lily's visits continued, but now with Elena joining them. They sat in the gym planning the program, simple lessons, games, art projects, tailored for kids like Lily. Marcus shared his own dreams of teaching buried under years of survival. Elena listened her wealth a tool she began to wield for good funding supplies and hiring staff. One afternoon, she brought a laptop showing Marcus a prototype app interactive lessons with colorful animations. "Lily helped design this part," she said, pointing to a bear icon. Marcus laughed, impressed, and Lily beamed. Ethan joined them after school. His suspension lifted after a counselor's intervention, partly thanks to Elena's discreet donation to the school. The three kids, Ethan, Lily, and a few others from the program, worked together building a makeshift classroom. Marcus taught them basic math, with blocks reading with the bear book, his natural talent shining. Elena watched, noting how he explained things patiently, adapting to each child's pace. "You're a natural teacher," she said one day, and Marcus felt a spark of pride he hadn't known in years. The program grew a community effort, with parents volunteering, kids thriving. But challenges emerged. Ethan struggled with jealousy. Lily's progress uneven, and Marcus's old insecurities resurfaced. One evening, as they cleaned up, Ethan snapped, "Why do you care about her more?" Marcus knelt, pulling his son close. "I care about you most, buddy. Lily's just someone who needed help like we did once. We're stronger together." Ethan nodded, tears drying, and Marcus realized the lesson he'd been living: empathy builds bridges. Elena, too, faced her own growth. Her isolation faded as she joined the sessions, learning from Marcus's humility. She funded a scholarship for Ethan, ensuring his therapy continued, but insisted Marcus earn it through his work. One day, she revealed her billionaire status casually over coffee in the break room. "Doesn't change who I am," she said. Marcus grinned. "Guess it doesn't change who I am either. Still the guy who mops floors." Their laughter sealed a friendship rooted in mutual respect. The program's first public event came in late September, a fair in the park. Tents lined the grass, kids showcasing their projects. Lily's drawing of a bear family, Ethan's model rocket. Marcus led a workshop teaching parents how to support special needs kids, his voice confident. Elena spoke, unveiling a foundation to expand the program, statewide, crediting Marcus and Lily. The crowd applauded, and Lily ran to hug them both, her joy infectious. As the sun set, Marcus reflected on the journey. He'd taken the job, balancing it with janitorial work, his life fuller than ever. Ethan thrived, inspired by the program's science lessons, dreaming of space again. Lily's skills grew her confidence, a beacon. Elena, once a shadow, now a partner, found purpose beyond wealth. The lesson crystallized for Marcus: empathy and education were twin powers lifting individuals and communities. He shared this with the kids that night, gathered around a campfire. "When we care and learn together, we grow stronger. That's what this is all about." Lily nodded, clutching her bear. "Strong like bear?" she asked. "Stronger," Marcus said, ruffling her hair. Ethan added, "Like astronauts." The group laughed, the sound carrying over Boulder's hills. Elena watched, her heart full, knowing her fortune had found its true use. The fair ended with stars overhead, a community united, and a janitor-turned-teacher proving that kindness paired with learning could change lives. But the story didn't end there. The weeks following the fair brought new challenges and growth. Marcus adjusted to his dual roles, spending mornings at Elena's tech firm, designing curriculum afternoons at the center teaching. The program expanded, welcoming more children, their diverse needs, stretching Marcus's skills. He attended workshops Elena sponsored, learning about special education techniques, his confidence growing with each session. Ethan, inspired, started a science club at school, recruiting Lily and others, their projects ranging from simple experiments to a solar system model that won a local contest. Elena's foundation gained traction, attracting educators and donors. She hired a team to manage logistics, but kept Marcus as the heart, valuing his grassroots insight. One evening, they sat in her office reviewing plans for a new center. "You've changed my perspective," she admitted. "I used to think money solved everything. Now I see it's people like you." Marcus shrugged, humble. "Just doing what feels right." Their partnership deepened, a blend of her resources and his heart, a model for others. Lily's progress amazed everyone. With Marcus's guidance and Elena's support, she mastered basic reading, her drawings evolving into detailed scenes of her new friends. At a parent-teacher meeting, her teacher praised her focus, crediting the program. "She's teaching us as much as we teach her," the teacher said, and Marcus felt a swell of pride. Ethan, too, matured, his jealousy fading as he mentored younger kids, his leadership a surprise to his father. "You're growing up, kid," Marcus said one night, and Ethan grinned. "Gotta keep up with Lily." The community noticed the change. Neighbors who once barely nodded now stopped to chat, asking about the program. A local newspaper ran a feature, "Janitor's Dream Lifts Boulder Kids," with photos of Marcus teaching Lily, drawing Ethan presenting. Donations poured in, and Elena funneled them into scholarships, ensuring no child was left behind. Marcus's apartment repairs were anonymously covered, Elena's doing, though she never claimed credit. His life stabilized, bills, manageable, hope restored. One crisp October day, they held a dedication ceremony for the new center named Lily's Haven. Kids performed songs, dances, a play about a bear's journey written by Ethan and Lily. Marcus spoke, his voice steady. "This place is about more than buildings. It's about caring for each other, learning from every step. I was just a janitor, but you all showed me I could be more." The crowd cheered, and Elena joined him, unveiling a plaque built on empathy, strengthened by education. The lesson sank in for all. Marcus saw how empathy had opened doors, his for Lily, Elena's for him, while education gave them tools to build. Ethan learned resilience through teaching Lily confidence through expression. Elena found purpose, her wealth a means to uplift. That night, around another campfire, Marcus elaborated. "Empathy lets us see each other's struggles. Education gives us the power to overcome them. Together, they make us unstoppable." The kids nodded, their faces aglow, absorbing the wisdom. As winter approached, the center buzzed with activity. Holiday crafts, tutoring sessions, a community garden planned for spring. Marcus's teaching career took root, his janitorial days fading into a proud memory. Elena became a fixture, her estate less a fortress, more a home open to friends. Lily's bear sat on a shelf, a symbol of their journey. Ethan gazed at the stars, his astronaut dream closer, inspired by the program's science focus. The town of Boulder thrived, its quiet streets now alive with purpose. Marcus locked up one evening, the center quiet stars mirroring those of that first night with Lily. He thought of his wife, how she'd have cheered this growth. Elena drove Lily home, the girl chattering about her day, planning a new drawing. The legacy was set: empathy and education, a duet lifting lives. Marcus walked home, Ethan beside him, their future bright, the lesson etched in every step they'd take.